Episode 7.
Yeah.
So 2 failed intros this time. We're getting better.
We are getting better. So what is the topic of today?
Topic of today is, you know that shit people say where they're like, what's your why? Oh, my why is my kid, my why is my wife, my why is my cat. Like, why that's nonsense and don't get you anywhere.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you what your why should be, and that is the topic. It's an aggressive start, isn't it?
Buckle in.
Very passionate about that.
Very. Okay.
I have none of those things either. I don't have a kid, a cat, or a husband or wife, so it's easy for me to say. But
well, this is true.
We'll get into that.
Okay. So, quick run through, updated what we've been up to.
Yeah. So, no events since we last did a show, but that's worked well for us because we've been in massive planning for Black Friday, haven't we?
Yes.
Lots and lots and lots of stuff that will probably be launched by the time this is released, but it'll still be ongoing. So we've got up to 70% off some items on our website, 25% off everything else, and free socks with all our maternity range, which is pretty cool. And I said free that time and meant free.
Oh, well done.
It wasn't like the number. So yeah, those are going to be going live. We've had the personalised teas on at the moment. There's been real good uptake for them. People seem to love them. And those that don't know, we offer your name on one of our teas for just the same price as our normal teas. And it's just pretty cool because people that are competing seem to get a few for the teammates and things like that. We've also been doing some supporters teas for Team UK for the upcoming Functional Fitness World Championships.
What's the date of that?
It's like the second weekend in December. I think it's like the 14th, 15th. So that's coming around really fast. And we're at Rotherham on Saturday to provide the kit to the teams, which is pretty exciting.
Very exciting.
None of it's fucking here yet, so let's hope
it will be.
Yeah, absolutely will be. But yeah, all the team are going to be there. Well, a good percentage of the team are going to be there. It's going to be cool. Like, it's a bit of an athlete day. So yeah, it's just fun being a part of that kind of stuff. So
definitely,
that's really cool. But yeah, and I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we spent a day in Manchester, didn't we, touching and feeling products and getting a bit of an idea of what we're thinking. Turns out we're very particular.
Yeah, but I think that's good, isn't it?
Oh, very good.
Very good. And it turned out I'm more particular than you, which is really strange. Oh, actually, that's probably not true. I think you have more patience.
I have way more patience.
I can walk in and go, what am I doing in this place? Whereas you're like, have a look. You think, what am I doing in this place? But maybe there's a
diamond in the rough.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, but yeah, I don't
have that.
But I'm very.
You went in the ones that look shiny from the outside.
Yeah. I did.
told you it was how you're dripping, yeah.
Yeah, if they'd have wrote premium on the front door, I'd have been straight in. Oh, it's a good in here. Yeah, I like that kind of stuff.
Barriers of graffiti all over it. It's a premium glass.
I would. I'm that more on it. I'm in a shopping centre or something, and I can't tell the difference between two products, so I look at which is most expensive and buy that.
So you don't do home brand like Jaffa cakes or?
Oh, I don't eat Jaffa cakes anyway, but
right.
Well, they're just a bit of a melt biscuit, aren't they? Like, who's eating Jaffa cakes?
Home brand.
Oreos, they're a real biscuit. And plain digestive.
All right, don't digress.
I know, I had no sugar for a while, man.
So you don't buy the home brand version?
No, absolutely not. If it's a biscuit I'd never had before, You'd
consider it.
But yeah, once you've got used to something that is digestive, anything else is just subpar.
I think we'll have to do a taste test one time. Could we do that on the podcast?
Yeah, we'll do a blind taste test next podcast.
On a digestive?
On digestives. And I tell you what, I can just smell them. You can't imitate quality like that. Anyway,
there's only 3 people watching.
I'm going to say, I don't think there is now. Which is probably good, actually, if we've lost any viewers in the lead up, because I want to talk a little bit about the recent news regarding CrossFit. And I think my views on this are quite strong and probably slightly controversial, though I don't think they should be, but I wouldn't because they're my views. And
explain.
So obviously we know what happened at the CrossFit Games, the sad passing of Lazar, which everyone's still in shock about, really, when you actually think about it, how crazy that was. But since then, CrossFit haven't updated anything on the situation. They were going to an independent report was being done,
right?
And they were going to release the results of that. Now that has happened, but the results haven't been fully released. The report hasn't been fully released, and there's going to be a number of reasons for that. Obviously, that report will have gone in depth into people that work at CrossFit, names, and sort of confidential information. So anyone that kind of thought that we're all going to get shared in its entirety don't really know how the real world works. But anyway, so that report's been released, and I think reading between the lines of the measures CrossFit have decided to put in place off the back of it, I think they were found, in so much as the eyes of the law, shall we say, to have done nothing wrong. So I think, when we talked about the other show about objective versus subjective, I think that's quite a good sort of thing to use as an example here, because objectively, if CrossFit had done something wrong, and when I say wrong, I mean by the letter of the law, then that had been made known. So, like, obviously they had to, for the event that they put on in Fort Worth in Texas, they will have had to adhere to local safety protocols.
Yep.
So that city will have had procedures that had to be met in order for them to put on this event there. So obviously with the findings, CrossFit did that. Now, subjectively, someone fucking died. So you can either be Luca, Laz's brother, his subjective scale is, it's the worst thing ever, CrossFit are the worst organisation. And then, subjectively going down the line to someone like, say, your mum, who's never heard of CrossFit, she doesn't really think anything's wrong because she doesn't know anything about it. So there's a big scale of what's wrong and right there. Now, I'm not saying that everything was done well because somebody died. So obviously there was a mistake made, numerous mistakes made, whatever you want to say. When somebody dies, that is like, you can't argue that something's gone wrong.
Yeah.
But CrossFit aren't liable for that in terms of they met the safety protocols. So it's a bizarre one, really, because what you've got now is all these people. You remember we talked about it before. So at the time when he died, everyone up in arms, before they even knew what the fuck had happened, people like, CrossFit are this, Dave Castro should be fired, all this stuff was going around.
Yeah.
Now all those people are back because they're like, I don't know what their end game was. I don't know what they wanted, but now they're all back saying we should boycott CrossFit, we should boycott the Open. People are fucking de-affiliating, don't want to use the CrossFit name. And I think it's just, what did you want to happen? So the PFAA made some demands where they wanted Dave Castro fired. He hasn't been fired. So then everyone jumped on that and wanted Dave fired. So he's not been fired. Is that what people are upset about? Because you were still doing CrossFit for this period of time since. What were you just doing, waiting for the report? So what else could have happened? Did you want CrossFit to be found liable and be fined an obscene amount of money, thus probably bankrupting? I don't know what these people wanted. So now you've got like these, it's just the same as in society. You've got these factors of people and groups of people saying we should boycott the Open. And it's like, why? Like, you love doing CrossFit. Like, and it's like, and then they're sort of looking down the nose on people that want to carry on doing CrossFit. So it's like, you should boycott the Open. Why? Why are you telling me what I should do? If you don't want to do it for your reasons, don't do it. But nobody else is doing anything wrong by doing the Open. Like, when I think of some of our guys, they love the CrossFit Open and what it stands for. It helps them track their fitness year on year, measure how far are they coming, how far are they getting. They know what they've got to do to try and get a little bit better each year. And you've got people almost saying, it's stupid, like they take it to such extremes. It's like, I want to go and do CrossFit in a CrossFit gym. Oh, so you don't care that Lazar died? Like, what? How have you made that association and leap? Like, I think what happened was fucking beyond tragic. And I do think like CrossFit have like obviously made some mistakes, but ain't going to stop me going to do CrossFit. It ain't going to stop me signing up for the Open because I can separate the two. Like, we live in this world now where everybody wants someone to blame. And I feel like people have come out of this not knowing what to do now because it's like, oh God, so CrossFit technically by the letter of the law didn't do anything wrong. Who do I blame now? What do I do with all this rage? Because what they've done by deciding how wrong everything is they've kind of set their precedents. They've got this moral virtue where they're right, CrossFit's wrong. And now that CrossFit's not being like, dragged through the mud or sort of being found liable, they don't know what to do with that. You know what I mean? They're stuck with this position. So now they're doubling down on it. And you've got gyms, like, I find it bizarre. Like, people de-affiliating. So, right, we want nothing to do with CrossFit because CrossFit's bad, but we're still going to teach CrossFit. We're just going to call it something else. Like, how, like, contradictory is that? Like, how can you they still deliver the same stuff but under a different name, and then just virtue signal about it like you're some kind of hero that's like can't be associated with CrossFit, but I'm still going to do CrossFit and I'm going to tell everyone it's CrossFit but call something else so that no one knows. Like it's just I just find it just bizarre. But that's the world we're living now. Everyone wants to sort of virtue signal and claim that they're mightier than everyone else because their morals are greater than yours. But in reality, it's okay to like doing CrossFit, like doing the methodology, want to do the open, want to compete, want to get fitter, and still think that what happened was fucking terrible. I'm in that camp. So I'd love to know where those people think I sit, because I agree that was terrible. Someone shouldn't have died. But I also think that CrossFit should continue doing what it's doing because it's literally helping save people. You know what I mean? Like, and I know there are two extremes. It killed someone, you could argue, and it saves lives. Like, I don't know why you have to pick a side. Why can't you just think both things are what they are? And yeah, that's kind of my views on that. And, you know, some people might find them controversial, but one of the things with me and the brand that I believe in is we're the Defiant Co. And I've founded that business, you've come into it, on those beliefs. Now, I will say what I think and I will stand by it. Like, if anyone wants to sort of insinuate that what I'm saying is incorrect, that's fine. But I have a right to say it, and I'm not saying anything, you know, I'm not saying you're wrong for thinking this, you're right for thinking that. I'm saying that someone died, that's terrible. I don't think CrossFit should be like, you know, completely just eradicated from existence because of that. And one of the things we always will do at the Defiant Co is like say what we believe, regardless of the consequences. Because if we're not real, we're no better than those people that are virtue signaling and saying all this nonsense that they don't believe in. So I'll always say what I think, and I'll happily have a conversation with anyone about it. Like, I don't hate people that have different views to me. You know what I mean?
Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Exactly, and I want to debate that or talk about it. Whereas these people that want to say you're wrong for thinking this and you shouldn't be able to do this, I think they're the ones that they're not open-minded enough to have a conversation about things. And if you don't do what they, you know, like they're saying, no one should do the open. Why? Like, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But don't make me. I'm not a bad person for doing the open, regardless of what you think. So, yeah, that's my take on that. And yeah, it's something I'm just passionate about it because it's not just about CrossFit to me. That it's about society as a whole. We live in a world now where everything's polarized. You have to have this view or that view. You know, we're quite lucky in the UK that our political system isn't quite as polarized as it is in the US, but the US is crazy. Like, you've got people in the US at the moment, you know, obviously Donald Trump's recently been elected, he's not in yet, and you've got RFK Jr. who's going to be his health minister, and now he's saying that he wants to make America healthier through, you know, like holding the CDC to account, making sure foods have got the better things in, because there's some stuff that they're allowed to put in foods in the US that they're not even allowed to in the UK. And people are saying that he's bad for that. And you're like, because
you need a whole other podcast for this.
Well, yeah, because he's on a different side of the political spectrum. Yeah. Regardless of what he's saying, which is factually correct, that America needs to be more healthy. It's got the highest obesity rate in the Western world. But because he's on that side, he's wrong. When you've got to be able to look at both sides. Like when we had our recent elections in the UK, there were parts of the Labour manifesto that I liked, and there were parts of the Conservative one. But you say that to a hardened member of each side, like, what do you mean? They implode. Then they both come together to hate you because you haven't picked a side. And I just find it strange that in life we've got to this position where you have to be one or the other, when the very essence of life, creativity, and everything good is diversity in thinking.
Oh, definitely. But obviously there's a few people that stand behind them who wouldn't have been elected. So there's obviously a fair few that believe he can make a difference. And as I am with everything, I'm very facts and statistics based. So let's see what he does. He says he's going to do something different. Something clearly needs to happen. So we'll see. But I think you need a whole new podcast.
Yeah, you're probably right. And there's just one last thing I want to say. Like, another thing about the CrossFit is it has made me smile. It's a bit more lighthearted. You know, you've got people coming out saying, I'm not going to compete in the CrossFit season this year. You weren't going to make it anyway. It's like me saying, right, I'm no longer going to try and shag Beyonce. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't do that to Jay-Z anyway, but it's the same premise. You had no chance anyway, so stop virtue signaling. Okay. You were never going to make it. So you saying you're not going to compete in the CrossFit Games season has not changed anyone's life, not even yours. And Beyonce, if you're watching, give me a shout.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for
I
that.
think I'm done. I feel
Oh,
like
you
I've
sure?
got that off my chest. Yeah.
You look calmer.
Yeah.
Your shoulders are lower.
Are they?
You can walk around that. Breathe.
Right. So now I feel like I've got a weight off my shoulders, chest, and anywhere else I'm holding weight. Interesting. Shall we go into a more? Oh, just one more.
God! Go on.
If anybody is watching this and thinking like I'm speaking out of line, I'm speaking out of turn, then let me know, and I would love to come and have a conversation. We do it on the podcast. If you've got strong views that are to the contrary of mine, I'd love to have a chat with you about it on camera. Just like let's understand each other's points of view.
Yep.
And see if we can either come to a common ground or understand why each of us feels how we do. And I'm always open to that because I just think that's the way everything gets better if we were able to talk and not just dislike people that have opposing views. So, yeah.
Right. Any more on that?
No. So, right. Should we do Torie's top tip and actually hit them with something that they might want to hear as opposed to me ranting and us talking about biscuits?
I forgot about that.
Seems a long time ago, doesn't it?
It does. So my top tip for this show was a marketing calendar.
Okay.
So things that we're looking at for next year, planning in advance. Done it with quite a few of my clients recently for looking at the entirety of next year. A lot of, especially smaller businesses where you are working from top to bottom, on every level. Sometimes it can be very last minute, as in like shit, like New Year, Christmas is in 2 weeks, or Valentine's is in a week, or whatever it is. And then thinking, oh God, everyone else is doing it, so we should be doing it. At which point you're already on the back foot, stuff's already out there, you're competing for a cost per click if you are advertising and putting a spend behind it.
And I think it does, when people are like, feel like they're catching up, I feel like you can see it in the marketing almost.
Yeah.
I remember when I was writing stuff like that, before we were planning it properly and you taught me how to plan things better. I remember sometimes you'd be like, shit, I need to send an email, and then it'd just be a shit email that's forced. You don't get anything off the back of it, so then you might as well not have done it. So yeah, like that is a good start.
It makes a massive difference. So I always think that the best place to start is to look at the entire year. So I'd consider all of your big holidays. Now there's 1,000,001 ridiculous ones that obviously if they are relevant to your industry, then I'd say 100% use them. I can't even think of an example right now. I don't know, like a dog day or
a World Fitness Day for us is a good one, isn't it?
And if it's obviously a relevant day for yours, then double down on it, definitely. But if not, use your big ones: Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, Christmas, New Year, etc., etc. Have that as your starting point. School holidays obviously have a massive part to play with regards to where people's attention is, and at what times. And what people can see. So again, I'd look at your school holidays for the following year as well. Book all those in, decide on anything else that you're doing within your business that's important to you, whether it be an anniversary for how long you've been open or whatever it is, and then work backwards. So almost like in one colour, do all your big days, and then in another colour, work back for when you need to start getting the content ready. So whether it's the email writing, the video content, you need different departments to do different things within your business, put it in a shared calendar with the reminders on, and then everybody is in the know so that you can never feel as a business owner that you're on the back foot and that you're chasing people last minute, because like you say, it is obvious when it comes out and it just doesn't look finished, doesn't look thought about. So yeah, that was definitely one of them. And considering anniversaries and birthdays for your customers, one of the things that people don't ask enough of on the offset, whether it be sign up or whatever it is, obviously you can do a lot for anniversaries and birthdays in terms of getting the cash flow in throughout the year, because there's birthdays spread throughout 12 months. Those birthdays, obviously, like ASOS, for example, like they send a code out, I think it's 2 weeks before your birthday, and they say you've got this code, it's just specific to you, you've got until this date to use it, it's used across site-wide. And I love that. I use it every year without fail, even if I don't need anything, because my birthday is quite close to Christmas, but they still manage to get at least 100 quid out of me. So stuff like that I think is really, really good.
Well, it makes you feel a bit special as well, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. And it just encourages you to spend, because it's a one-time code, they've explained it, and you've got 12 months of however many customers you've got. If you've got all those birthdays, then you've got cash flow throughout the year. So yeah, that's my
if you've got if you've got a database where you haven't got that sort of data, what do you think there's a good way to try and get that data from your existing database? Is that something worth trying to do?
100%. Now there's various ways in which you can do it. You can link it to a campaign, as in, I don't know, we're doing a giveaway, or we're doing what's another example? introducing a loyalty scheme, and I've done that in a few industries, introducing a loyalty scheme or anything along those lines that you can put it on the back of it, that if they were to give that information, they get something for it, whether it be put into a prize draw or they get points that start them in that loyalty scheme, or however it is that you're going to work it. You're not asking them, it's an invite basically. And if people are choosing to do that and you say, look, we want to send you something on your birthday, generally people are pretty good at that.
Yeah. And especially if they're part of your database and you've been nurturing them correctly, they'll already have that trust built up with you, won't they?
100%. And you don't need their birth year. You don't need to say like happy 32nd birthday. Yeah. You just need the day.
They were days.
I know, yeah, long gone for you. But if you have your day and your month, it's that you need. It's your cash flow. You don't need to know how old they are. You don't need to know that information. You only need to know the information that you can make money off the back of, or that encourages a better service. So however that works, like I work with a florist, their anniversary, as in their wedding anniversary, then makes a perfect excuse every year. So it's another date in the diary. So yeah, there's loads of things that you can do, but I'd link it to a campaign, invite it, and then reward it for giving the information. But don't ask for too much information, so you don't need their birth year.
And you know, when you're looking at stuff like that, obviously it's important to get emails out reasonably regular. You can track your open rates to make sure you're not oversaturating, I guess, in your unsubscribe rate. Yeah. But you know, when you talk about big events, when you're going through the calendar, what would you say is a good sort of metric? Like, for obviously you're going to send more emails than this, but you know, in terms of this day, that day, that day, do you think one a month, so that it's not like, oh fuck me, they're celebrating cat day today, it was dog day yesterday, it's Jaffa cake day? I'm just thinking of stuff we've talked about. You know what I mean, though? Yeah. Because then it starts to lose a bit of meaning. So do you think once a month for like a day?
Yes and no. I think business is storytelling. So like you just explained, the Defiant Co has always stood for and will always be whatever it is. So whether that be that 3 events just happen to fall in quite close in line, if they're falling in love with the story, which in turn makes you a stronger brand, then I don't think it matters. There's a frequency for sending out emails. I think it's very relevant. At the end of the day, if people don't like your stuff, they're going to unsubscribe. You don't want them anyway. Yeah. So once a month is a great place to start. At the end of the day, as I say with everything, track the data. So if you start to get a drop in open rates because you're sending too many, pull it back. Or if your open rate is remaining consistent, then you are no worse off. In fact, you're better off because people are reading more of your stuff, that are buying more into you, are buying more into the brand. And then you've got the buy-in for longer periods of time. So I don't think there's a sweet spot, but it's a sweet spot for your business. It's not like a standard sweet spot. I'd just say, as a marketing calendar and planning, I'd find a framework and work backwards, which is obviously what I was trying to say earlier. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Thanks.
So I'll get calendar out in a bit and we'll have a look. Right, so
what was the topic? What's your why?
What's your why? So you'll have seen this everywhere. People like, what's your why? And they'll post a picture of a member of the family or the girlfriend, or just, and I just think that you're really setting yourself up for failure if your why is anything but you. Now, I'll explain why I think that. So not just because I don't have a cat or out to be my why, but there's a couple of reasons. First one being, if your why is something that is arguably changeable, or not something that is guaranteed to be a constant in your life, then what happens if they go away? So it's different with kids, I guess, to a point, because they're really always going to be in your life. But when they get to 18, 19, they could leave home, and, you know, some people don't have great relationships with the kids. They could never see them again. So then what's your why? You know, if your why is your partner and your partner leaves, what's your why then? You set yourself up for a failure by almost making your entire life about something else or someone else. Because if you want to get better in business or in life or in your relationships, you need to be the best version of yourself. Because if you're the best version of yourself, then your relationships with all those people will be better. You know, you'll be a better parent, you'll be a better wife, you'll be a better husband, you'll be a better boyfriend, girlfriend, cat owner. If you're really, truly happy, and I think you can only really do that is by putting yourself at the center of the decisions you make, in order to then put them into other people, because I just think it makes you better. So if my motivation for being good at my job or for getting fitter is me, I will always be me. So I will always have that same motivation. Whereas, you know, if I put it in a partner and then she left, I'd be like, oh, so it doesn't really matter what I do now because I ain't got them. And I think there's a really good quote by Jim Rohn, who like did quite a few, like, I think he was like quite a good psychologist and he used to do motivational speaking. and he said, I'll take care of me for you if you take care of you for me. And that kind of is the essence of this in a way. So it's like, yeah, rather than me say, you take care of me and I'll take care of you. No, if I take care of me, I'll be so much better for you as a business partner in this essence, or like, because you know what it's like. You've like got a busy life and everything. And if you feel like you're drifting more and more away from who you are, then you might be able to hold on to those little things for a little while. But then after a while, you've lost yourself a little bit, and then you can't be the best version of you. So you won't be the best wife, you won't be the best mum, you won't be the best. You haven't got a cat, but so I just think that again, it's another one of those flawed things that you hear, and people use it as a badge of honor, like there's some kind of hero that my wives, my kids. And the other thing about that as well, it's like, I don't think you can be a good parent. You can be a bad parent, but you can't be a good parent, because a good parent's just a parent. Because there should be no bonus points for being a good parent. You know, you had a fucking kid, be a good parent as default. They're only bad parents. But yeah, I just think that you will be, you know, when you've got a kid, it's much harder to juggle all those things, you know, work, fitness, and all those, even diet. But again, if you put the time into those things, you'll ultimately be a better parent, and your kid will live in a better environment. And yeah, so that, I don't know what your take is on that, because we sometimes disagree on these types of things.
We do. No, I do agree. And I've been through a roller coaster of emotions with regards to this over the years. But it's like the aeroplane thing, isn't it? When the masks come down, they would say, put yours on first before putting it on anyone else's. And it's the same premise. And it is very much finding a way to put you first, with, just like you said, building your own routine out that works for you and not for somebody else. Finding food that works for you and not somebody else. And that can sometimes take time to build out, when life-changing things like finding a partner or getting married, like having a child, like losing someone, in whichever way that is. There is a shift in that, in the sense that they may not have been your wife, because they're not going to be your every single second thought. But you've just got to build the routine with the best version of you moving forward. So I 100% agree with that. But then having something, so for example, like you say, my child, if I have to do something that I'm either nervous about, or like public speaking, for example, like the why and everything that I do is for me, and more so now since I've had a child than ever before. But whenever I have to do something like that, then I do think of him, but he's not the reason that I'm doing whatever it is. I'm like, well, this is why. If I do this, it will take me to the next step, which we'll do. And then I will feel better, and then he will be better, and he'll see the confidence that I've had to, little things like that. So I don't think he's my why, but I think he's a really good reason to push me over certain boundaries that make me a better person, because I want to teach him
that nothing's
impossible. So even though he's not my why, he's a great support to the best version of me.
Yeah, and that I was just going to say, because when you were saying that was like a light bulb moment to it for me, because I'm obviously not a parent, but like your why is very much you. But in those moments when you just need a bit of extra motivation, you're going to look to your loved ones and think, what would they? It's almost like sometimes it's like, what would they think if they thought that were faltering?
Yeah,
it's not necessarily a why. It's like, I don't want to let them down. I'm doing this for me, but they can help me achieve it. And I do get that. I get that absolutely.
It's how like you view your parents. So like whether they the way your parents are, even down to what we were talking about your fifth spiders. Like you learn so much from your parents. So if you're fearful of something, they radiate it. Even from younger, probably more impressionable than ever before. Than later in life. So the opposite, I think, is true. So if they feel that I've been nervous about something, then come home with the confidence that I've already done it, or I talk about it or explain it, then they can be the reason I tip to a better version or a greater version, or you want to make waves, and I want those waves that you make in business in your own little world to be ones that they can stand, I don't know, at school gates and be like, yeah, that's my mum or my dad or whatever. I think so. Even though it's not a reason why, it's a support to the best version of you. Is how I'd word it.
Yeah, and I'd just word it as why should always be you. And it's the same though. Most of the time we have the same. Our delivery is slightly different.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's not a selfish thing either. I don't mean that in a selfish way, because if you're going to use what I've just said there in a selfish way, then you're just a knobhead. That ain't what I'm saying. I'm not saying you should put yourself before everything. There are times in life when you maintain relationships or families and things where you have to do for others before you do for yourself. But I'm talking about your core motivation to be the best version of you that you can should always be you, because you're the only person that you have to live with. It's the only person between your ears is you. Yeah, you have to wake up every day with you, it's the only constant throughout your entire life is yourself. So make that your motivation to be the best version of you. And if you're the best version of you, you'll be the best everything else anyway.
Definitely. Agreed.
Bang.
Smashed it.
Done.